What is going on today, guys? Tomcat here, and today we are back in Spin Tires taking a look at a Unimog. Now, this particular Unimog is one of the older ones, but not quite the oldest one, but it's kind of in the middle between the older ones and the newer ones. Now, this Unimog in particular, I already said this Unimog in particular. Boom. Anyway, Unimogs are one of my favorite personal off-road vehicles just because they have a real versatility to them. You can use them as exploration vehicles, you can use them as fire and rescue vehicles, you can use them as adventure vehicles, you can use them almost as whatever you want, scouting vehicles. They have so many different uses that they're one of the most multi-purpose off-road vehicles in the world, not just in Spin Tires, but in real life. These things are absolutely incredible. Now, we've got a few customization options for this, and the first one we've got is the U1500 Carriage. Now, the U1500 Carriage is kind of like your basic Carriage, can carry basic small loads. I'll go ahead and, excuse me, there we go. Go ahead and put it on so you guys can see what it looks like. Looks pretty clean, looks pretty cool. And then from there, we go to the U1500 Tent. Now, the tent is actually one of my personal favorites because the tent has kind of a military look to it, but it's basically your normal Carriage with a tent on the top of it, but nonetheless, I think it looks really good. We're going to go ahead and get that off. And then the U1500 Utility is actually really cool looking because that is something that looks like you'd see on a true exploration vehicle, adventure vehicle. Absolutely love that one. That's probably my top one out of all of them. And then you install that, and you can actually put a tractor on it to haul, say, a cistern trailer, garage trailer, utility trailer. And I'll actually go ahead and drive it up here real quick so you guys can see what that looks like, because it's not a large truck. It's actually not that big compared to a lot of the trucks in Spin Tires, because when you stick a cistern trailer on this thing, it looks a little bit out of place just because of how small the Unimog is compared to a lot of the other trucks. Now, granted, it has large tires, but there's still, even with having the large tires, it still doesn't quite look as substantial as some of the other trucks. Now, I'll go ahead and go through the garage trailer. The garage trailer is the largest thing you'll be carrying with this truck. And then from there, you go to the utility trailer. The utility trailer is not quite as large as the garage trailer, but it can get pretty heavy once you load it down with fuel. So can the cistern trailer. But for the purposes of this test, and we may come back and pull a trailer later, for the purposes of this test, we're going to be using the U1500 Utility. Now, before we get going, though, we're going to leave it with the stock wheels and tires, probably on our test drive, but we will check out the tractor tires. The tractor tires are more of like kind of a farm tractor compound. The all-terrain tires, on the other hand, are a little bit more streetable, but they are slightly more aggressive than the standard ones, as you can see. Now, we're going to stick with the standard ones for now because I want to drive this thing kind of in full standard trim, and we're going to head actually to the right because all of our tests on this map that we've done so far, we have not gone this way. And in fact, you also have a true first-person POV. The only thing that's a little iffy about it is that it's not really complete in here. So that's sort of a give and take kind of a thing when you have some of these mods. Yeah, you're going to get an interior view, but sometimes you don't quite get the full immersion or the full experience just because it's not complete. Now, the chassis flex with this truck is a little bit on the high side, and you can really notice that as you're going along, especially as you go over bumps. And truly, it's not that big of a problem, especially if you're not trying to rock crawl in it, because this, again, this is more of a exploration vehicle, kind of a scout vehicle. And by the way, a really worthy I almost said USB, UAZ. It's a real good replacement for a USB. You're not going to be plugging this into your computer anytime soon. But no, it's a really good replacement for the UAZ because it fills that role of being a good exploration vehicle, but also has the ability to tow trailers. And honestly, when you're using other trucks for gathering logs and stuff like that, this makes a pretty good argument for itself because you're not having to constantly think about, well, I'll have to get those logs to the drop-off point and then come back and switch that truck's trailer out for maybe a cistern trailer to refuel the other trucks, or a repair trailer because someone's gotten lost or stuck and needs to be rescued. Because this, again, is very multi-purpose. And I actually kind of like the sound of it. Now, what it sounds like to me is almost like a slightly altered version of some of the stock sounds, because it sounds very close to stock, but some of the low RPM sounds sound just a little bit different to my ear. Now, let's go ahead and see what its river fording capabilities are, because I honestly didn't even know that this road led to a river. So let's see what it can do and hope that it doesn't drown itself. Into the river we go! Oh yeah, okay. I mean, honestly, you're probably not going to expect that much trouble with it anyway, just because of the fact that these are, I would guess these tires, like if I had to guess off the top of my head, I would say these tires are probably 40s. They're probably either 40s or a little bit more than 40, maybe 42s. I don't think they're as small as like 35s or 37s. They're definitely more than 40s, but nonetheless, they look really good. I'm interested to try out the tractor tires, and I probably will when I tow something, because they're slightly smaller as far as overall height, but they cover a wider track. So it kind of depends on what you're going to be using the truck for, in my opinion. But can we make it? Can we make? Oh yeah, no problem. The automatic gearbox in this thing does shift a little bit funky. You have to set it up the way you want it, otherwise it's a little bit, it doesn't really want to cooperate with you. It's not, again, I keep using the Spun in Darkness transmissions just as a basis for comparison, but just because they're so good. But this is not a Spun in Darkness transmission for sure. It does not feel like one whatsoever. And actually, let's go off the beaten path a little bit and see what this thing does on some true off-roading. But, it has kind of a, I guess you could say the transmission in this thing has a little bit of a real jumpy feel to it, because you'll come up to a hill, and then it'll all of a sudden try to change all the way down to first gear, and then it'll redline first gear, pop the truck back, shift it into second, and then when you get to another bump, it's like, boom, back to first gear again. So it's a little bit awkward to get used to, and let's see what we can manage in this swamp where we got the YJ stuck. Throw it in high, and high. This truck is not interested in running high in here. Absolutely not. The truck's like, nope. It's like, sir, what's your problem? Sir, you have a bit of an issue if you think I'm going to go through here in high. Actually, I haven't been up that. That actually looks pretty steep. We should be able to get traction on it, but it should, honestly, it should be a good test of this thing's hill climbing capability. Well, more like that wall to the side would be a good test of its hill climbing capability, but I'm talking about hill climbing on a normal road. Actually, do those lights? Yes, they do work. Sweet. And actually, you can really see the suspension. You can really see the suspension working. The suspension and the drivetrain are very, very well done. Very nice and visible. And you kind of don't see them all that often just because this truck is so large-bodied. It's just a large-bodied truck. But you can see the back of the frame. You can see the suspension working. You can see the springs working. Yeah, everything is really, really nicely tied together in this truck. It's very well done, and I like that a lot. A lot of attention to detail. Really a lot of, oh, God. That's about to go wrong. Let's see if we can just kind of crush this tree real quick and carry on. No problem. No problem, sir. Carry on. But let's go ahead and respawn back at the garage, switch out the tires, and see how this thing does with a trailer. And one hell of a trailer, if I do say so myself. Now, we're going to be taking the, let's see, U1500, the utility, there we go, the utility off. Get the tractor on, and then get the, let's use the garage trailer, just because of the sheer size of the thing. And we'll switch out for tractor tires, and that actually lowers the suspension a little bit too, so a little bit better for pulling. And we'll put it in all-wheel drive, diff lock on right off the bat. And it actually picks up pretty nicely, even with a huge trailer on it like that. I'm impressed. It's got some good power to it. It's just going. Throw it in high. Okay, so high and third are exactly the same. There's no difference between high and third, which means unless you're trying to like bomb this thing up a hill, leave it in automatic mode. Completely 100% leave it in automatic mode. And there's a reason why I turned down this road, so we could take this little logging track and head up into the woods. Now, I'm not certain of whether or not this thing will be able to make it up the hill with this trailer on, but, oh crap, it's starting to bog down. I wanted to throw it in high, like kind of right off the bat there, and see if I could just use high to my advantage, but, yeah. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to back it up, and I'm going to back it up, get on the flat ground, throw it in high down there, and then just stay in it. Just stay in it up this hill, and see if we can make it work. Trailer wants to go in the woods. It's actually not too bad though, because we can just go over the trees. They're small trees. They're good to go. There we go. Now just keep it on high and leave it there. Power! Forget it. Forget it. Oh my god. Forget that. Let's leave it in low. See if we can just get some climbing out of it. And you know what? That is not going to work. But it will work if you do this. It'll work absolutely if you do that. But we're going to go ahead and respawn to the garage one more time. And attach the cistern trailer. And after attaching the cistern trailer, we're going to go ahead and fill it up. Because the cistern trailer, like I said, is extremely heavy. Heavy? You even English, bro? English? But, yeah, the cistern trailer is extremely heavy when it's fully loaded down with fuel. And stop real quick. And let's see, we'll bump that up to 3,200 liters. Sounds good to me. Oh yeah, this is so much heavier than the garage trailer. This thing is, it's struggling now. It's really, really trying to pull and put that power down. There's no way I'm going to get it up into high. I mean, it might, the automatic might shift into third downhill. But other than that, this thing is not going anywhere. I mean, look at how it's sagging the back end of the truck down. That rear suspension is really having to deal with the stress of that fully loaded cistern trailer. This is, you know what? This is your top speed. This is your new top speed, guys. This is the speed at which you're going to be driving this truck if you wish to pull a fully loaded cistern trailer. Which honestly, I wouldn't pull it with this truck. I really wouldn't. I would only pull it with this truck in an extremely dire situation. If I had like if everybody on the map was either all out of fuel or all had to be rescued, maybe. But I would use this truck primarily for exploration and not hauling. Now that I understand how it actually does when it's hauling. Now the only thing I might use it for hauling with is the Carriage, because the Carriage is probably fine considering the fact that you can only use it with small loads anyway. But oh no, the weight of the trailer has basically destroyed our progress. No, never mind. Yes! Come on! The heroic Unimog shall prevail! Oh, it's grabbing traction just a little bit. Yes! I'd say that was a pretty heroic save. That thing really managed to pull it. Wow! Well, I'd say let's not celebrate just yet because it's not out of the mud. You know what? Let's see if we can just turn it slightly to the side. See if we can get it to get grip over there. Which it's slightly willing. It's very slightly willing. I'm thinking that that's about all it's going to do with this particular trailer on. But if you guys enjoyed this video, then don't forget to leave me a like. Tell me in the comment section down below what you guys thought of it. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe for more. And I will see you guys in the next one. Talk to you guys later.